What if a cigar took 1,000 days to create? That's the story behind the Crowned Heads Mil Días, and today we're diving into why it's become one of my favorites.
Welcome to the Cigar and Whiskey Podcast, where every episode takes you deeper into the stories, traditions, and flavors that make cigars and spirits unforgettable. So pour a glass, light a stick, and settle in.
Today, I'm excited to share a cigar that's quickly earned a permanent place in my personal rotation, the Mil Días by Crowned Heads. Now, I've always had a couple of go-to favorites that I can rely on. The My Father Le Bijou 1922 is one of them, with its bold, full-bodied character that never fails to impress. The Carrillo Pledge is another, rich, complex, and beautifully constructed. But recently, another cigar has joined that short list of mainstays, and that's the Mil Días. So what makes this cigar so special? Let's start with the name. Mil Días translates to 1,000 days, and that's exactly how long it took to bring this blend from idea to finished product. Crowned Heads co-founder John Huber collaborated with Tabacalera Pichardo in Nicaragua, and together they crafted a cigar that reflects patience, precision, and a willingness to get every detail right. The blend is an interesting one. The wrapper is a silky, reddish Ecuadorian Habano, elegant and consistent. Underneath, you've got a Nicaraguan binder and fillers from Nicaragua, Peru, and Costa Rica. That's a combination you don't see every day. The result is a cigar that's medium to full in body but full of complexity. And at around $9 to $12 a stick, it feels like an incredible value for what you're getting. Now let's talk about the smoking experience itself, because this cigar really takes you on a journey. When you first light the Mil Días, you're greeted with a burst of white pepper and baking spice, all carried on a creamy, almost silky texture. There's a backbone of earthiness, and if you retrohale, you'll pick up a citrus-like brightness that keeps things lively. It's a bold but balanced start, enough to wake up your palate without overwhelming it. As you ease into the second third, the cigar really begins to open up. The spice steps back, and in its place you get flavors of coffee, roasted nuts, and cocoa. The smoke becomes rounder and velvety, and there's this subtle sweetness that ties it all together. For me, this is where the Mil Días really shines, complex but approachable, layered but never muddy. And then, in the final third, the profile shifts again. The pepper returns, darker and more pronounced, joined by notes of leather and charred oak. It's bolder, richer, and deeply satisfying. What I love most is how smooth the transitions are. Each third is distinct, but they flow naturally into each other, like movements in a symphony. Of course, flavor is only part of the equation. Construction matters too. And in my experience, the Mil Días nails it. The draw is just right. The burn line stays straight with only the occasional touch-up, and the ash holds firm in neat stacks of gray. The smoke output is generous, creamy, and aromatic. Even down to the nub, this cigar holds its flavors without turning bitter. Now let's talk about pairings, because the Mil Días is one of those cigars that just begs for the right companion. Sure, it works well with bourbon or rye. A good Four Roses single barrel or Whistle Pig 10-year rye can highlight different aspects of its flavor profile. A Speyside Scotch like Glenlivet 15 adds fruitiness to balance the spice. And of course, coffee is a classic pairing that never disappoints. But if you ask me, the real magic happens when you pair this cigar with rum. Aged rum in particular brings out the best in the Mil Días. Take something like Diplomatico Reserva Exclusiva. Its molasses, sweetness mirrors the cocoa and nutty notes beautifully. Or Zacapa 23, with its toffee and dried fruit, which echoes the second-third sweetness of the cigar. Even something like Brugal 1888, with its dual aging process in bourbon and sherry casks, adds a refined, silky texture that complements the cigar's creamy smoke. It's almost as if the Mil Días was designed with rum in mind. Both celebrate patience, global influences, and a balance of sweetness and spice. Together, they create a pairing that feels seamless, like they were meant to be enjoyed side by side. So who's the Mil Días for? I'd say it appeals to a wide range of cigar smokers, but two types in particular. Calvin the Collector will love it for its story. The 1,000-day journey, the international blend, the craftsmanship. It's a cigar worth showing off and worth savoring, and Sabrina the Sophisticate will appreciate its elegance, its smooth transitions, and the way it pairs effortlessly with a refined glass of rum or champagne. But honestly, this is a cigar that almost anyone can appreciate. Even if you're newer to cigars, don't be intimidated by the medium to full label. Start with a smaller vitola like the Corona Gorda, smoke slowly, and maybe pair it with something sweet like rum or even a good cup of coffee. You'll be rewarded with a masterclass in flavor progression. In the end, here's my take. The Mil Días is a home run, a cigar that delivers complexity without being overwhelming, elegance without being pretentious, and consistency without being boring. It's become one of my go-to smokes, and I can see it staying in my humidor for a long time to come. If you want to dive deeper into this cigar, see the full written review, flavor breakdowns, pairing ideas, and even some images that capture the Mil Días experience, head over to cigarandwhiskeyguide.com. That's where you'll find the complete review and plenty more cigar and whiskey content. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Cigar and Whiskey Podcast. Until next time, light up something special, pour yourself a good drink, and enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to the Cigar and Whiskey Podcast. Subscribe and share with a fellow aficionado, and keep the journey going at cigarandwhiskeyguide.com, where every puff and pour has a story.